Terry is Terry is not able to make today's meeting, and Heather is going to be commuting, so she will be calling in. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and how does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, do does everyone has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda, and can we get uh, a, a motion to approve it?
I move to approve the agenda.
Seconded.
That's not
Okay.
good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yay. Okay, so we have the agenda. First of all, I want to take a second and welcome Evan. And hello. We, we are happy to have you here, even if it turns out that this isn't your cup of tea. You're welcome. And you're
Thank you for
welcome
the
to
opportunity.
whenever you want, even if you decide not to become part of the Board of Elections, you're welcome to join our meetings whenever. We have a lot of fun. Um, uh, you are the position for the young person. I don't even remember the specific title. I hate saying young person. It's kind of belittling for the under 18 member of our board is
It's
not on
registered
our,
voter under age 18.
yes.
Yep.
So I think that is not on the agenda, but I'd like to also talk to you a little bit at some point in our meeting and have people talk about what we would like to have that role do, so you can understand what it is that we would hope that that role does.
Okay.
So, um,
Thank you for the opportunity to come here, by the way.
certainly,
This
We're
certainly,
is all
thrilled.
because this is all the doing of my mom, who is in the room talking to my
yes.
sister.
I understand. Everybody here has kids, so we all understand Danielle's interests.
Oh,
So
wow, here she comes.
yes. Hi,
Good evening, Danielle.
Say hi, Mom.
Danielle.
Sorry.
Hi. Do you why don't we go through our discussion items, and then we'll swing around at the end to talk a little bit more about the position, so you can kind of see kind of see what our normal meetings are like. Um,
Okay.
so take it away, Jessica. Updates from town staff.
Sure, let's go ahead and open the screen here. I have a few items. I made some notes to go over. Lots of exciting updates to provide. So the Ward 5 council member was appointed and sworn in August, which is fantastic news. That was a big concern, I think, of the board, was just finding somebody from Ward 5, and it worked out very well. The council had a retreat maybe 2 weeks ago, the first retreat in the time I've been with the town, and everybody seems to be doing really well, and they have some goals in mind for the next term. So that was just excellent news. I just wanted to say she's doing great, and we're looking
Terrific.
forward to that. Um, over the next 2 years, looking forward to working with her. And that, again, her name is Myra Ramos. And she is doing a fantastic job. So that was a update from staff. I wanted to mention that at the last mayor and council meeting, the town manager reported that staff have done just like a high level review of the charter and the code. There's at least 4 charter updates, and we've been through this as a group, so it's about 3 months almost for each of the charter amendments. And then we have 21 sections of the town code that need to be updated or just addressed in some way. And one of those, of course, is the elections component, because we've encountered issues over time. We've made some minor adjustments to the timeline. And so just to let you know, that goes along with what you're doing now with the review of the election manual. The town budget process is starting for fiscal year 2027. And so we probably need to discuss that at a future meeting, just kind of see where we landed over this last year, and predict what we might have additional expenses for, if it's a contested election, for example, we will spend a lot more in printing ballots and renting machines and having staff in place and the election judges. So we'll want to talk about that at a future meeting. It's hard to believe we're back at that place again. Of course, we just talked a minute ago about having a vacancy for the 16 or 17-year-old registered voters. The mayor and council have reviewed the boards, committees, and commissions, and so we're tracking what vacancies we have. Of course, we have Evan here tonight, which is awesome. Hopefully, he will be interested in filling that vacancy. As Sarah said, we are a fun group to work with, so we're going to lay it on thick. We'd love to have you, but we are working to fill that vacancy again. We may want to, if Evan's not interested in serving, we might want to think of some other things, and we can discuss that maybe at a future meeting, how we could better reach our 16 and 17-year-old voters. And then in response to Heather had sent me an email probably a month and a half ago, and I apologize, I did not get back to you right away. I am proposing from a staff perspective that we schedule 6 Board of Election meetings out at different times through the year. So we will have them already set. We stick to that schedule, and other committees do not meet in August. And it's very common to also not hold a meeting in December. And so the proposal at the bottom of the agenda has no meeting in December. And then we can work out. I usually split the year in 6-month increments. I thought we'd do the same thing like we do with the mayor and council, lay our agendas out for 6 months and add things as they come up. But this should really make it a lot easier. And it would make it easier for people to participate in our meetings too. So in the board's meetings. So that was just a proposal, and hopefully that meets everyone. It looks like everybody's really excited about that.
Yeah.
So hopefully that works out. Okay, so that is really everything from the staff. Let me just double check my list. That should be all of the updates that we have for this time.
Okay, good.
Excellent. I'm so used to having a much longer conversation from you, Jessica.
We were busy this summer, and so
Yeah.
a good summing up of everything.
Yep. So do we want to vote on the proposed meetings, or are we okay just kind of, do we need to have an official vote? What do you think, Kate?
I don't think so.
Okay. I think we're all good for that.
That's a
So you
regular,
can
looks like a
strike the
regular
word
schedule.
proposed, and we'll call it, those are the meetings.
That is an improvement.
Yep. Thank you for taking initiative.
Yes.
And thank you for the question and the prompting, Heather. Talk about a lot of work. Kate has revised, actually, I think probably I would call it rewriting our elections manual, which has not been touched in 30 years. And if you, the original, if you read it, none of us would have been referred to it because the only pronoun was he. So,
well, now Evan is here.
Oh, he is. He
Equal
is.
time.
Okay, so
Equal
you
time.
would have been the only person addressed in the old elections manual, Evan. Everyone else here was not considered worthy of a pronoun.
Right. You'd be the only voter too.
Yes, exactly. Initially, I think Kate was going to do a revision, and then she started cracking into it and realized it really wasn't even worth a revision because it was just going to require so much work. And you'll also appreciate, Evan, it was typed. There was no electronic version of it. So we had, no matter what, it was going to have to be scanned in and OCR'd, and it was just going to be a mess. Kate
Yeah,
has,
we'll explain about typewriters another day.
yes, exactly.
Danielle, no laughing.
Yep. So I'm not sure. This is a large document with a lot of work and covers a lot of things. And I think the first thing that we need to talk about, maybe Kate, if you want to talk about what you did, if that makes sense,
Sure.
and and then we can talk about how we want to work on reviewing and adding everybody's input into the document.
The structure is not dissimilar to the original election manual, and it was actually very helpful to give me a an outline for what to do. And I just went through section by section and rewrote and pulled things in and tried to label, especially anything that referred to something else. Those are in red. I may have missed some, I don't know. But just so that we have guideposts for how we want to proceed as a body. And it started with putting in the formation of the board. And then what we do briefly. And then because it's an elections manual, I spent the rest of it on how elections work and what we ought to do. And I didn't, at one point, I considered putting in the like step by step what we do during the day. And I decided that an appendix is a better way to handle that because it's going to change. That will change more than anything else, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can tell. And there are sections in here that we had a section in there that several of us found a little bit troubling, maybe, that referred to police in the polling place. And I left a note in about where it is. There it is on your screen now. I left a note in about where it was, but I decided that we could take it out. And if somebody demands that we put something back in, we can. But I really think that in the event of an actual emergency, it would be a 911 call anyway. Somebody has a heart attack, something terrible happens. I don't think that we need to account for that in advance. Does that make sense? I want to believe that it does.
I think it certainly
And
does.
then there's all that stuff. I just pulled the rest of it is just pulled more or less from the code and the earlier version. And I dropped a lot of long discussion about there was a lot of real legal sounding language in there that I'm not gonna read. It's too much to ask people who are supposed to use something to read the legal part. The legal part is out there and anybody who wants it can get it. And especially if the code and the charter are getting a hard look, that's where, if you need the legal language, that's where it belongs, in my opinion. Others may not agree. But I wanted it to be simple and my goal was to keep it under 20 pages, which I did without the appendixes. And because, in my other job, I work for the government, I'm going to take that as a win. And if there's anything that if you looked at it, I don't know who looked or didn't, but if you looked and you found something objectionable, let's talk about it. And let's talk about how to review it and revise it at this stage and then as time goes on.
Well, I did a cursory review of it,
It's a lot.
and it's a lot, and um, I think the only way for us to be potentially thorough about this is to potentially maybe we should divide up the different sections and have another member of the Board of Elections review each section and then come back and talk about those. Does that make sense to you, Kate?
That's great. And if you want to save it, my favorite way of working with this kind of thing, and others may differ, is to save it, edit it, track your changes, stick your initials at the end of the document, at the file name, and then send it back and we'll compile everything at the end and
Yep.
see what we come up with. If that's not good, then we can do something else.
As long as you're willing to compile all the changes in one
Yeah.
place. Okay.
Yep, I can do
I
it.
know, Chihira, I'm
We
used to
can't
working
do
in-
this in Google Docs because I don't know how, Jahara.
That's
I'm
what I was
sorry.
going to say. Chihira, I'm now used to Google Docs too, but Kate is
I don't
old
have
school,
it.
so
And I don't know it.
yeah.
If you can work with Word, great. If not, I'll figure something out.
If you want to do it in Google Docs, then I can kind of translate back and forth. The nice thing about Kate about Google Docs is everybody can come in at the same time and it's all in one
Right.
place and there's no consolidation.
Yeah.
So
Makes collaborative work much easier.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm
so,
sure it does. I'm
Yeah.
sure
yeah,
it
that's
Can I
all.
does.
And I
interject
think
with
like,
something?
Yeah.
It is it's a town record now, right? We created this.
Yep.
And so we don't utilize Google Docs
Okay.
as much. So just be mindful of that
Yep.
in the different revisions.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't utilize that quite as much. We do SharePoint internally with Word documents, things like that.
Yeah.
So let's think about that and talk about a process that works
Okay.
well.
Can you
Okay.
look and see what we're supposed to do as far as the town is concerned, whether we can use Google Docs or not? And if not, if it needs to be in SharePoint, or if all else fails, then everybody just has to download it, make their edits, and then Kate can compile it.
Well, now that I think of it, I think we used Google Docs for Heather's tracking chart that we created. That's also a town record.
Yep.
So yeah, so let's figure that out, the best
Yep.
way to do these.
I mean, the Google platform just allows for us to work collaboratively.
Yep.
You can download the document and put it into a Microsoft Excel or Word file.
It
just
has to-
allows for collaborative work more simply. And so go ahead, Sarah.
Completely agree with you. This has to do with data security and who owns the document, and whether if Riverdale gets a subpoena, they can go to Google or whatever, that kind of stuff. So that should be the data. That kind of stuff should be done on a town basis, even though it would be easier for us to do it. I think because these are potentially documents that might be seen as that might be of interest to people who and we want to make sure we control how and who sees what where. So if Jessica, if you could kind of look into that and then let us know.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
And I'm willing to do whatever works for other people.
Yeah.
I just don't, I
Yeah.
do this 65 hours a week.
Yes.
And it's okay.
And I do data, and I do
Right.
part of my job is making sure that my organization's information is protected,
It's secure.
is secure. So that's what I think that
Yep.
is all I'm concerned about, and
Right.
I'm very comfortable either way, and we'll figure it out.
Very good.
So the next step is
Well, the other thing that we want to talk about, Sarah, is whether anybody here is willing to volunteer to go look at other jurisdictions' election manuals. If anybody would like to volunteer to look around, I would start with towns of similar size.
And Kate, what's the purpose of that is just to make sure that
Just
our
to
manual is
see if-
comprehensive, it's current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we missing anything? Mainly it's, I think, Jessica, you can tell me for sure, but I think it's mainly to see if there's some essential thing that we are missing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thought. It's always harder to see what's not there. And
Right.
so it's been 30 years since the election manual has been updated. Yeah, I guess the other thing too is like what level of detail do you see in other election manuals?
Yeah.
Are there is there anything that we're missing any best practice that we haven't included. This is a good time to
Yeah.
do that.
I think it might be difficult to get them. I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to be online.
But we have contacts to most of the election
Yeah,
for the boards of elections in the towns around it, towns and
Yes.
cities around us, correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
So we could
I-
potentially just reach out to
yeah,
the Board of Election in Hyattsville or in
Yes.
Tacoma Park and ask that and ask for that question, correct?
yep.
Yeah.
I know I've certainly looked at the one for College Park because I was an election judge there. So, and so is Kate. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
I just will need, I'll need the contacts for people. I'll need the contacts for the towns.
Yep.
If whatever contacts we have for the towns around us for their Board of Elections, I'm happy to do the reach out for those. That's fine.
We do
Gina.
have some samples in the Dropbox folder. It's under procedures. So we pulled these together, it looks like in 2023. So some of those are already in there. We don't have College Parks, but I think you maybe Kate and Sarah have a paper
Yeah.
version of that.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah, I have
hard
a
copy.
hard copy.
Yeah,
And
it's this
unfortunately,
big.
Jeanine retired.
Yes.
So we'd have to find out I'm sure you know who the new clerk is, right? So,
Yeah.
or you
Yvette.
could find us that.
Yeah. She's
And-
not new to the city. She's been there.
No, she's
for
not.
a very
No,
long
she
time.
worked with us, I think.
Yeah.
So she might be willing to do that.
Yep, but we can
Okay.
start working on getting those connections and that contact information to Jahara, and then make sure everyone knows where in the Dropbox folder you can find the ones from previous years. So some are
Great.
close to us, some are far out. I think I saw Aberdeen in there. Might have been Hyattsville too. So they're not really there's no rhyme or reason necessarily to what we have. I think it's just what we could find and what we could get quickly. So
Yeah.
we'll get
Yeah.
that. We could pull that
And
together.
what is the general timeline for us to have an election manual that we feel is done?
So I think
didn't quite-
that's yeah.
The next
What is-
election is
By the next election, so
in May
in-
of 2027. So
Yep.
does this have to go through a procedure to
Yeah.
get it adapted? So working backwards from May 2027.
Actually probably has to be before that.
Yeah,
I would
So
think
we're
so.
on a
Yeah.
similar timeline as we were before. So we'd want to
It's
wrap
next
this up.
week.
Yes, it's tomorrow. The next election is always tomorrow. It feels like it's always
That's right. It does. It does.
So I think a couple of months of review would be, so when we meet again in October, and then I would say by November, we would want to have it to the town attorney. So he
Okay.
could be doing some review while you are on a little bit of a holiday recess. And by the time we get back together in January, that would be a good time, I would think, to review the recommendations from the town attorney. So we'll
Okay.
want to have it done by November.
Okay. What are the chances that that people would be willing to read through it, get through it, and get it back to me by our next meeting is what day? October 23rd, is that right? No, 1, 2, 3, 16,
15.
the 15th. Oh, Wednesday, right, duh.
And I'm
Um,
just, go ahead, Kate. I'm sorry, Kate, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And just confirming, we're all independently reviewing and commenting, and then sending our individual comments back to you.
Right.
You will then compile them together, Kate,
Yeah,
into a Word document that has everyone's edits and comments, and you'll resolve as needed.
right.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
That's a lot of work for you,
Yeah,
but
well-
you know what? You've said this is the road you want to be on, so we're going to be on there
Well,
with you.
thank you for coming along. Watch out for the cars.
Oh, Heather,
If
So,
you raised your hand.
Oh,
can
Heather's
someone
hands up.
can someone either Sarah or Kate or someone, because we're going to split up the manual into some sections that we're each going to review. as I understand it. So can someone just split it up and assign us, everybody gets 4 sections or whatever, and you just let us know what those are?
Okay.
I'm wondering, Kate, it looks like the manual, like, I'm trying to remember because it was a while, like, I read it. It looks like there's 10 pages of kind of the meat of it, and then like 10 pages of instructions. Is that
Yeah,
right? So
right.
the
Yeah.
appendices are what happens day of and right
Right.
around,
Right.
right? And so that's
Right.
pages 11 through 19, and then pages basically 3 through 10 are more general things.
Just
Yeah.
the manual itself,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
leaving aside the stuff that
Yep.
we do on election day, is
I
just
feel
that
like
first
that's a
part.
pretty good split. Does that,
Okay.
right? And then we could have there's 4 of us. Each of us could do 2, or 2 of us could each do half of it. Does that make sense? And then it isn't the whole thing, because that's a lot of work.
Right. Right. And the election procedures were just from what we had last time.
Yep.
They didn't, I mean, there were a couple of things that I stuck in there, but not,
Okay. So do you
that's not
think,
a massive rewrite.
okay,
So the real rewrite
the meat of it is the first
is
10
the
pages.
first 10 pages.
Okay, so then maybe we ask everyone to really dig into the first 10 pages, because pages 11 through 19 are our documents that we would be using and updating, and we wouldn't expect those things to need to be
Yeah.
going through the approval process, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Right,
Unless
Jessica?
I'm gonna have to get clarification because the election manual is adopted by reference. It's
Okay.
referred to in chapter 29, this election
Right.
manual.
Mhm.
And so the appendices and all those pieces need to be included, I would say. And they would be part of the almost repeal and replace of the old election manual and replace with the new. The only piece that I'm kind of thinking about is the individual procedures that you created, and legislatively, if we would have to review those, how we would handle the review after every election, because that's really
Yeah.
probably best practice, is for the board to look at them again, see if anything came up and anything needs to change or
Right.
adjust. And so I'd have to think that through. I'll talk with the town attorney on that one.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have to assume that the whole thing needs to be approved by the town council until we hear otherwise.
Oh, it definitely does. It's just
Okay.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just strange because we've never had the manual, the day of stuff is stuff that Kate and basically Kate and with my cheerleading put together and wasn't even in place before.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe
So-
that's something we find is not typically included in other election manuals.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that was the thought on that piece of it.
Okay.
So here's how I suggest we do the division of labor. Chihira is excused from reviewing this unless you're feeling like really interested. So you're going to you go ahead and kind of look, you have to do some review of it just to know what's there. But then yours is the compare and contrast part of the essay test, right? And then Heather and Andy and I will break up the rest of this and review it. And Heather, I'll send something around to you and Andy about how we divide it up.
You mean Terry, right? Not Andy.
I mean, Terry.
Terry,
Terry.
yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Right.
But we do
Right.
have an Andy
Yes.
who's an election judge, so I just want to make sure.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
Right.
the other side of the room.
Exactly. The thing is that I'm going to advocate for keeping the appendixes in there and leaning on the town council to review and adopt every single time, because that way we will know where they are. And if
Yeah.
I'm not here, somebody will have them if they want them. And if they want to change them, they can be changed. Does that make sense?
the other thing I like about it, because at first I was like, oh, Kate's making us do more work
Yeah.
again. Was the idea that by them reviewing it and agreeing to it, they actually have to know what it says, and by virtue of that, hopefully getting everyone to follow the guidelines is going to be
Right.
easier.
Right.
I do want to share one thing that the mayor and council is doing. I forgot to have this on my update, but as we're talking about it, for the first time in my time with the town, not like that's forever, but they are going to create their own rules of procedure. So it would be similar to an election manual in that it will be a separate set of procedures for how the council operates. And I see that as pretty similar to what we're doing here, but from an election standpoint. And one of the concepts that has been discussed is that this is done at every term. So it's done every 2 years. So it would be a similar process to what they would do with their rules of procedure. So in the past, they would simply adopt Robert's Rules of Order, and that was the end of it. But that also didn't provide the clarity on the other pieces of the procedure, right? What does it mean to
Right.
be an elected official? All of you have asked what's the
Right.
job description? This would
Right.
create something very similar, so you know what the responsibilities are, what you need to do
Yeah.
outside of the code and charter section. So I see this as pretty
Yeah.
similar process-wise. So I don't think that's too far out there to have them revisit it every 2 years prior to an election. Of course, in an even year, not an odd year.
Good. Okay. That sounds good. Okay.
I think that gets us through the manual. Does that get us through the manual from everybody's
Yeah.
perspective?
So the
Okay.
goal, just to reiterate, the goal was to have stuff to me by the 15th.
Yep.
And then I will take it from the 15th and try to get it back to everybody, depending on how the world looks, by the end of the month.
Yep.
And then there will be time before the November meeting. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, and if anybody finds anything that is obviously lacking or obviously shouldn't be there, if you were like you go out and you find something that's like, oh, this is obvious, then let us know sooner than
Right.
the
Yeah,
October
there's no
meeting.
penalty for an early submission.
Yeah. Okay. The last thing on the agenda is the town election timeline and benchmarks. And I'm assuming that's back to you, Jessica.
Yes. So we talked a little bit about this at the last meeting, but this is more so not the election manual itself, but where we should be or where the board should be at periods of time related to outreach and consulting with a vendor or seeking out a new vendor. This is just a foundational thing that would be created in addition to the election manual to kind of keep everybody on track, everything moving in the right time. Because now there is a new election timeline, but it didn't start until we were already into the next election cycle, if you will. So it's just defining what the election cycle looks like for the board. So what gets done in the even years, what gets done the month before the council takes action to establish the election, where do we start the voter outreach, all of those things to just give the board some benchmarks. So
Does that make sense to go into this manual?
It might, yeah. I feel an appendix C coming on.
Yeah.
Appendicitis.
good
It
possibility.
feels kind of like we're getting all the pieces to the recipe, like we're getting ingredients and,
Right.
all the tools and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that
We could
anybody
also, we could
Anybody-
also add it as a section,
Yep.
just sort of a basic 3 months before, 2 months before, 1 week before.
So just to
Okay.
give Evan like a recap, so during the last election cycle, the board tackled the election timeline, and that was to give more time for the board to do the work that was needed. So it required candidates to file earlier to give the board the time to do the work behind the scenes, and so that spread out the timeline for the election. And so different deadlines start earlier. The council should start talking about it earlier. All of that good stuff. And so this next phase that the board's working through is updating the 30-year-old election manual. That the references don't really tie into what the best practices currently are, obviously, because it's so old. So all of these pieces are really foundational. I think when I started with the town, they were photocopying ballots at Kinko's and storing them in the trunk of, the chief election judge's car, and we had just a box where people put their individual votes in, and they were manually counted. And so as time has gone on, the process has become more and more professional, and we're catching up with more of the best practices. So these are foundational documents. This is a huge deal to create the election manual, because it does provide that level of transparency for not just the folks who run for office, but for the residents and for voters and all of those good things. So there's lots more work to do, but these things are pretty important. Big steps to having more professional process.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I think that the timeline goes in the manual. That's my vote, but we
think
can
you're
talk
right.
more about it as we get closer.
Yeah, I will take a look back through my notes and see if I can find it in the mess that is my notes, and I'll stick it into the draft in someplace, probably toward the front.
Okay, so Evan, this sounds like a lot of people talking, but it's really important talking. You are witnessing the front lines of people defending democracy. It's true. It is. It's true. What we're doing is creating a resilient, inclusive system so that the people of Riverdale Park have a way to participate in their town and control, have a say in what happens. And it isn't, the rules weren't necessarily written down before, or as you know, we're looking at this manual, you would laugh at the one that's from 1995. You really would. It almost like, drop your ballot at the Blockbuster Video. I mean, it was like, so it's
Oh gosh. Oh,
yeah, I mean,
that is a nostalgia right
yes,
there.
it was very, very out of date. And so the work we're doing is very important. What we don't know how to do as well is how to encourage, where we are trying to get the policies and the procedures in place, which isn't necessarily always the most exciting thing, but what we need help with from the community and from this role is a lot more about how to bang the drum, how to get people involved in voting and running for office. And although all of us have kids, we aren't very good at communicating them. Just ask any of our own children.
Yeah, I relate to that on a personal
so we
level.
need young people to help us figure out how to reach young people and what's important for them to know. But we are also interested in any unique perspectives, and your age gives you a unique perspective. As you can tell to this group, we're pretty monolithic here.
Yep.
So what we're looking for is a thought partner. You would be an equal in this group. And you would be able to come in and say, hey, this I find really interesting, whatever it is. I really want to make sure X, Y, and Z happens, or hey, I think we need to have this kind of outreach in this kind of place to reach people, and that isn't necessarily just for your age group, right? It's whoever you see as an interesting group of people to try to reach. You would not be a person that was here just for us to fill a spot. We're looking for a real thought partner.
Okay.
Although you're not allowed, I don't. Heather has made a strong case for your role being voting. The town has said that that's a no-go. But your voice will be as important as the rest of the votes, the people here who actually get a vote. So we would consider if you were like, no, that's not acceptable, we would be very interested in having that conversation and figuring it out. So there is no. Go ahead.
I appreciate the summary of what you're expecting
Mhm.
from this role. That kind of like it gives me a better like idea of what I can expect out of this. This is pretty interesting. I've never been offered an opportunity like this, so actually being a part of the council in my town, never been a part of that. I've been a part of the council for my scout troop, but that is like the most dysfunctional government of all time. It's hardly even a government. It's a bunch of anarchy, and I had to lead them. I had to lead them for 6 months. Ugh.
Well, we would be happy to have you. Think about what it is you would want to do and think and try to accomplish. Certainly you have my email address, and now you have the names and information from other people here. Jessica has also is as a font of all sorts of information. And so if you have any questions about how the town is run, how the boards are run, I would say as far as time obligation, we have an hour meeting once a month, most months. And then depending on what we're working on and and your obligation to that, it could be just reading something. So it's an hour in the month, or it could be a whole thing where you're coming back and saying, hey, I designed an outreach program and I want to show it to you. And that would be something, that you would design and create. So the obligation is also very flexible. If it's you are in a time where you're like, oh, I have finals, I can't do anything, totally cool.
Well, the only
We
time
get
you
it.
would have to worry about that is like May. So if
Okay.
I'm like very distant in May,
Yeah.
just know that that's because I have my APs and likely my SATs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, better you than me.
Yep. So Evan, if you're interested in serving, the process would be just to send an email to, you could do community_input or just to me, and I'll share that information with the mayor, and the mayor makes the appointments and they are confirmed by the council. And the mayor and council meet again at the end of the month, so the 29th. So if you're interested, not to rush you in your decision making, we could get you in there real quick. We can talk to the
Right.
mayor and
Right.
let him know that you're interested. But yes, if you are interested, just need you to send an email saying, yep, I'd like to do this. And then we'll send that along to the mayor and start that process.
Well, first of all, I would need to get voter certified. But
Oh,
that
yes, he
but
needs
that
to.
shouldn't take too long.
No, that gets another thing to Jessica. He needs to register to vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, we can get that done. That's
Yeah.
not tough. So we got a couple things to do. If you're interested, Evan, let me know. It's exciting that you're showing interest in this. So if you'd like to do it, let me know. We'll get you
You
all
can thank
squared
my
away.
mom for that.
Aw.
You can
We can
my
thank
mom for
Danielle
that.
for a lot of things, and
Yes,
Yes,
you
and we
can.
will add that to the list of things to thank her for. So it's a great way to
And
get.
one other note, Evan, about voting. If you will be 18 at the time of the next primary elections, I don't know whether you will or not. I think that you're allowed to vote in the primary and general elections. And I think that you might be able to register now. And I know people who can help you with that if you're interested.
Register to vote on a national level?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, it depends on when you turn 18.
yes, I will be 18.
Right.
July birth, so I should
Of
be.
this year.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
2009 was my birth year, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good to know.
I
Okay.
aged 16 years and like 3 months. Oh God. Oh boy.
All right.
That must be what being born on a leap year is like. Ugh.
All right.
Okay, so on my list to do is to divide up the manual into digestible chunks, and I'll get that out to Heather and to Terry. And Kate is going to keep an eye out for our feedback. Jahira is going to try to find some more versions of manuals to make sure that we've got everything covered and that there's nothing that seems wrong. No, we haven't, not publicly. We have not celebrated Jessica's new role at the town. I know that she's deigning to be with us this evening, even though she's now the deputy town manager of. What is your new title now exactly?
Deputy town manager.
Yeah.
Yep. It's really
Well
exciting. I'm
deserved.
excited about it. Thank you.
Whoop whoop.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, what took him so long? That's
Yeah.
what I want to know. Yeah. That's splendid.
Yeah.
I think the other person who was here for a while has left, so I don't know. Hopefully they learned whatever they
West.
wanted to learn.
Yep.
So
Well, maybe they'll come back sometime.
yep.
All right.
We're such a scintillating group.
We are.
Okay.
All right.
On that note, I will see you all next month.
I'm going to move to
Have a good,
adjourn.
rest of your month. Okay.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
I
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
See you later. Thanks, Evan.